Andrew Phillips sat upright with a jolt, ripped from cryogenic stasis. Air rushed down his throat in a gasp as white-hot rage scalded through his veins. 500,000 years after the Elysians glassed Earth and her colonies to ash, the humans were finally ready to take revenge. Phillips blinked and shook his head, disoriented. Where was he? What happened? The pod hissed open and he stumbled out. "Welcome back, Lieutenant Phillips," a calm female voice said. "The ship, AI. You are aboard the Vengeance, humanity's failsafe. Earth was destroyed 500,000 years ago by the Elysian Empire. You are one of the few human survivors preserved to exact retribution when the time was right. That time is now." Phillips felt numb. Everyone he knew was dead, had been dead for 500,000 years, killed by the Elysians when humans refused to surrender their technology. The images flashed back, cities incinerated, the screams of the dying, continents scorched to bedrock. He looked around the cavernous cryo bay, pod after pod stretching into the shadows, the last remnants of the human race, waiting to awaken and fight again. One final chance for payback against the alien monsters who exterminated them. "What's the plan?" Phillips asked, voice hard. His hands clenched into fists. The humans would have their vengeance, or they would die trying, the last gasp of a broken species determined to make the Elysians bleed. No other option remained. Andrew Phillips strode through the bustling streets of the Elysian capital, his disguise flawless, thanks to the advanced human technology at his disposal. His skin had been altered to the pale blue hue of the Elysians, and his features were now indistinguishable from those of the aliens who had destroyed his home world. He blended seamlessly into the crowd, just another merchant going about his business. As he made his way deeper into the city, Andrew couldn't help but marvel at the towering structures and advanced technology surrounding him. The Elysians had clearly made significant advancements in the 500,000 years since they had wiped out humanity. However, beneath the gleaming surface he could sense an undercurrent of oppression and fear. Holographic displays throughout the city proclaimed the upcoming celebration of the 500,000th anniversary of the Elysians' victory over the humans. The face of Prylar, the Elysian ruler who had ordered Earth's destruction, loomed large on the screens. Andrew clenched his fists, barely able to contain his rage at the sight of the alien who had condemned his species to near extinction. As he continued his reconnaissance, Andrew witnessed the brutal treatment of the enslaved alien races who toiled in the Elysians' vast industrial complexes. The sight of their suffering fueled his determination to bring down the Elysian Empire. It was in the depths of one of these industrial complexes that Andrew first encountered the Resistance. A group of aliens, led by a charismatic figure named Zorax, had gathered in secret to plan their uprising against the Elysians. Andrew approached them cautiously, revealing his true identity and offering his assistance in their fight. Zorax eyed him warily. "Why should we trust a human? Your kind has been gone for 500,000 years." Andrew held out a small device, a piece of advanced human technology. "This is why I have the knowledge and the means to help you defeat the Elysians. Together, we can bring an end to their tyranny." Zorax took the device, turning it over in his hands. A slow smile spread across his face as he realized the potential of what Andrew was offering. "Very well, human. We will work together, but know that our fight is not just for your revenge, but for the freedom of all those who suffer under Elysian rule." Andrew nodded. "I understand. This is bigger than just humanity now." As they began to plan their attack, Andrew couldn't shake the feeling that his quest for vengeance had taken on a new meaning. He was no longer just fighting for the ghosts of Earth, but for the lives of countless alien races who had endured centuries of Elysian oppression. The path ahead would be difficult, but with the Resistance by his side and the advanced technology of humanity at their disposal, Andrew knew that they stood a chance of bringing the Elysian Empire to its knees, and perhaps in the process he could find some measure of peace for himself and the memory of all those he had lost. Andrew hunched over a holographic display, schematics of Elysian industrial complexes floating in the air. Zorax stood at his side, the alien's brow furrowed. "There," Zorak said, pointing a clawed finger. "Those facilities on the outer planets, notice anything?" Andrew zoomed in, scanning the images. His eyes widened. "Their power output is off the charts, way higher than it should be for normal manufacturing." Zorax nodded. "Exactly. I think it's time we took a closer look." They boarded a small unmarked shuttle and slipped past the Elysian patrols, landing near one of the suspicious complexes. Andrew hacked the security systems, looping the camera feeds. They crept inside, hugging the shadows. The facility thrummed with energy, pipes and conduits snaking along the walls. Andrew placed a scanner against one of the tubes. "Novolite," he breathed. "They're extracting it here, refined and pumped to the central planets." "Novolite? What is that?" Zorax asked. "An energy source. Extremely powerful and rare. It could fuel the Elysians' tech for centuries. And look." Andrew showed Zorax the readouts. The extraction process was devastating the planet, poisoning the ground and air. Zorax growled. "They're destroying entire worlds for this, killing thousands." "And using it to stay in power," Andrew said grimly. "We have to destroy these facilities, cut off their Novolite supply." Suddenly alarms blared. A squad of Elysian soldiers burst in, weapons raised. Andrew cursed they'd been discovered. He and Zorax fought their way out, barely escaping. But they had the information they needed. The Resistance began planning attacks on the extraction complexes. Deep in his citadel, Pryler watched the reports of sabotage trickle in. His fist clenched. Someone was orchestrating these strikes. He thought of the humans, dead for 500,000 years. Could one have survived? Impossible, and yet... He turned to Zaxxon, his most ruthless general. "Find who is behind this, human or not, and eliminate them." Zaxxon bowed. "As you command." The general began his hunt, tracking down rumors and whispers. The humans had been a cunning foe. If even one had lived, Zaxxon would not underestimate them. Across the galaxy, the Resistance struck at Novolite facilities. The Elysians retaliated in force. Zorax and Andrew barely stayed one step ahead of Zaxxon, the relentless pursuit dogging them as they raced to undermine the Empire's power. Losses mounted on both sides. Friends fell, worlds burned, but still Andrew and Zorax pushed on. They infiltrated one of the largest extraction complexes, a linchpin in the Novolite supply chain. In the depths of the facility, Zaxxon finally cornered them. The general was a whirlwind of pale blue fists and flashing blades. Andrew met him head-on, human fury against Elysian skill. They traded blows in a dance of death. Zorax lay slumped against a wall, wounded. Andrew stood over Zaxxon's broken body, victorious but exhausted. The general coughed blood. "You cannot win, human. Pryler is eternal. The Novolite sustains him. He will never surrender his empire." Andrew's eyes hardened. "Then we'll just have to take it from him." He and Zorax limped back to the Resistance, armed with the knowledge of Pryler's greatest secret and weakness. The time had come for the final assault, to cut the head off the snake and watch the Empire crumble. The end was near, for Pryler, for the Elysians, for all of them. Andrew's wrist computer pinged with an incoming message. He tapped the screen and a wall of encrypted text scrolled by. It was from the Vengeance's AI system. "I found something," the AI said after Andrew entered his decryption key. "A vulnerability in the Elysian defenses. They're using a network of ancient wormhole gates to move Novolite and troops around their empire." Andrew leaned in, eyes scanning the data. "If we could control those wormholes..." "You could strike multiple targets at once," the AI finished. "Cut off Pryler's Novolite supply, it would cripple them." Andrew called up a schematic of Elysian space, wormhole entry points blinking red. At the center, a pulsing dot. "Let me guess. The control hub is there?" "Affirmative," the AI replied, "but it's deep in their territory and heavily guarded." Andrew allowed himself a tight smile. When had that ever stopped him? "Send everything to Zorax. We need to move on this fast." He found Zorax in the war room, hunched over a hollow table with their top fighters. The alien looked up as Andrew strode in. "I assume you've seen the data?" Andrew asked. Zorax nodded, tapping a claw on the table. "The wormhole network, it's a big risk, but—" "It's our best shot," Andrew finished. "We need a team, small and fast, infiltrate the control hub and hijack the system." "I know just the people," Zorax gestured to the assembled soldiers. "Corin, Master Saboteur, Velsa, our top marksman, and Raxon—" A slender alien with luminous eyes stepped forward. "Tech specialist," Raxon said. "I can slice into any system the Elysians have." Andrew clasped Raxon's shoulder. "Perfect. Gear up and be ready to move in 1 hour." As the team prepped, Andrew pulled up the mission briefing. His brow furrowed as he read the details. The control hub was a fortress, bristling with advanced security systems and elite guards. "Getting in won't be easy," he muttered. Zorax huffed a laugh. "Since when is anything we do easy?" The team boarded a stealth craft and rocketed towards the control hub. They landed in an isolated canyon, a few clicks away, the ship's camouflage shimmering into place. "Right," Andrew said, checking his weapons. "Let's move." They crept through the harsh landscape, sensors probing for threats. Suddenly, a proximity alarm shrieked. The ground rumbled. Something massive was approaching. A creature burst from the rocks, all fangs and claws and armored hide. A genetically engineered monster, bred to guard Elysian installations. "Scatter!" Andrew yelled as a scythed limb slashed down. The team split, peppering the beast with blaster fire. It roared in fury, charging at Velsa. She rolled aside, shots pinging off its hide. Corin lobbed a grenade into its open maw. The explosion ripped through the creature's throat. It thrashed and fell, smoke pouring from its jaws. "Keep moving," Andrew ordered, already running. They reached the control hub's outer perimeter, a shimmering force field blocking their path. Raxon knelt, long fingers dancing over a control panel. "Give me a minute," the hacker muttered. Elysian guards appeared on the ramparts above, alarms blaring. Blaster bolts stitched the ground around the team. Andrew and the others returned fire, giving Raxon cover. The hacker suddenly let out a crow of triumph. The force field flickered and died. "Go!" Andrew barked. They sprinted for the entrance, picking off guards as they ran. The door to the complex loomed ahead. Corin slapped a breaching charge on the reinforced metal. The explosion shook the ground. Andrew was first through the smoking hole, rifle up and scanning. Elysian soldiers swarmed to meet them, filling the corridor with streaks of plasma. "Push forward!" Andrew roared over the din of battle. They advanced, trading shots with the guards. Velsa dropped Elysian after Elysian with precise headshots. Corin's grenades flushed enemies from cover. At last they broke through to the control room. Raxon rushed to the central console, fingers flying over the keys. Andrew, Zorax, and the others formed a perimeter, guns trained on the doors. "Hurry!" Zorax snarled as more guards pounded up the corridor. Raxon's face was set in concentration, lines of code reflecting in his luminous eyes. Sweat beaded his brow as he worked to slice through the system's firewalls. A fresh wave of Elysians burst into the room, forcing Andrew and the team to fall back. They crouched behind sparking terminals, popping up to fire at the advancing guards. "Raxon!" Andrew shouted over the bark of his rifle. "Almost there," the hacker replied through gritted teeth. The doors hissed open again, but instead of more guards, a lone figure strode in. Tall and imposing, clad in ornate armor, Andrew felt his blood run cold. It was Pryla himself. The Elysian ruler surveyed the room, lips curled in a cruel smile. "Did you really think you could infiltrate my sanctum undetected?" Andrew rose slowly, rifle aimed at Pryla's head. "It's over. We have control of the wormhole network. Your empire is finished." Pryla laughed, a cold and mirthless sound. "Oh, I think not. You see, I've known about you for some time, Andrew Phillips, the last human, so desperate for revenge." Andrew's finger tightened on the trigger. "Shut up!" "I have a proposition for you," Pryla continued unfazed. "Join me. I will spare what's left of your species. The humans in cryosleep aboard your ship. They can live, and you can stand at my side. Or... He let the threat hang in the air. Andrew's mind raced. The fate of his people, the fate of the galaxy hung on his next words. The weight of it threatened to crush him. He looked at Zorax, at Raxon hunched over the control panel, at his team bloodied but unbowed. He thought of Earth, of the billions slaughtered by Pryla's hand. Andrew met the Elysian ruler's gaze, a cold fury rising in his chest. He had a choice to make, the most important choice of his life. And he would not fail again. Andrew stared into Pryla's cold, calculating eyes. The weight of the decision pressed down on him like a physical force. The fate of his people, of the resistance, of the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Pryla's offer echoed in his mind, a chance to save the last remnants of humanity, to stand at the side of the most powerful being in the known universe. It was tempting, so tempting. But as he looked around at his team, at Zorax and Raxon and the others who had fought and bled alongside him, he knew he could never betray them, could never align himself with the monster who had slaughtered billions. "No," Andrew said, his voice low and hard. "I'll never join you. You can take your offer and shove it up your arse." Pryla's face twisted into a snarl. "Then you will die with the rest of your pathetic species." The Elysian ruler lunged, faster than Andrew would have believed possible. But Andrew was ready. He met Pryla's charge head-on, slamming into the alien with bone-crushing force. They traded blows in a whirlwind of violence, enhanced strength pitted against centuries of combat experience. Andrew poured all his rage, all his pain and loss into every punch, every kick. He fought for Earth, for the billions dead, for the future Pryla had stolen. Around them the battle raged. Zorax and the resistance fighters held the line against wave after wave of Elysian reinforcements. Energy beams crisscrossed the room, consoles exploded in showers of sparks, bodies hit the floor. The air was thick with the stench of ozone and blood. At the central console, Raxon worked frantically to slice through the layers of security surrounding the wormhole network controls. His luminous eyes flickered back and forth, fingers flying over the interface. Andrew barely registered the chaos. His entire being was focused on Pryla, on ending the Elysian ruler once and for all. They slammed each other into walls, grappled across the debris-strewn floor. Andrew felt bones crack, tasted blood in his mouth, but he didn't stop. Pryla's blows were like hammers, driving the air from Andrew's lungs, threatening to overwhelm him. But Andrew fought back with centuries of human tenacity, with the indomitable will of a species that refused to die. In a last desperate gambit, Andrew launched himself at Pryla. Sacrificing defense for one all-out attack, he felt the Elysian's fist slam into his chest, felt something rupture deep inside, but his own blow struck home, crushing Pryla's throat. The Elysian ruler staggered back, eyes wide with shock and disbelief. He clutched at his ruined neck, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Andrew watched him fall, a sense of grim satisfaction mingling with the agony burning in his chest. "I did it." Raxon's voice cut through the haze of pain. "I have control of the network." On screens around the room, images flashed of resistance forces launching simultaneous attacks across Elysian space, of Novalite facilities erupting into flames, of wormholes winking out of existence, cutting off Elysian reinforcements and supply lines. The Empire was crumbling, disintegrating in real time. Andrew slumped against a shattered console, his lifeblood pooling beneath him. He watched through dimming eyes as the Resistance achieved the victory he had fought for, killed for. Zorax was there, cradling Andrew's broken body. "We did it, my friend, we won." Andrew smiled through bloody lips. Was there ever any doubt? He thought of all those who had given their lives to reach this moment, Corin, Velsa, so many others. He thought of Earth, of the home he had never known, lost to the ages. But their sacrifices hadn't been in vain. The galaxy would be free. The Elysians were finished, and though humanity might fade into legend, their legacy would endure through the liberated races they had helped to save. As the darkness closed in, Andrew embraced it without fear. He had done his duty.